All right, thank you so much for staying with Daybreak, and you're just in time for that discussion. It's starting right now. We'd like to hear your views on everything we'll be discussing around here at Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya. Use the hashtag Daybreak. Let me introduce my guests real quick again one more time. Honorable Jared Okello, Member of Parliament for Nyando. Thank you for making time. Honorable Martha Wangari, Member of Parliament for Gilgil. Siad Osman, a youth leader, and Honorable Martin Moshisho, Deputy Governor Kajiado. Thank you so much for making time. And Honorable Martha, I'll start with you. The President is expected to speak today for the COVID-19, and we can see now there's a third wave coming through. What do you want him to talk about, considering the situation we are in right now?
Good morning, Trevor. I've not been here for this year, so allow me to tuma salamu.
Yes.
But on more important issues, I think the expectations from the president, the rising numbers, lowers what we expected the president to do. Because, you know, initially the numbers had gone down, so we were expecting the curfew to be lifted and the businesses to be totally opened. But I think now how we are going, I mean, this COVID has even attacked Baba. And, you know, Baba has just come from the coast for political rallies. And this is not limited to just Baba. Even the deputy president is all over the country with political rallies. I think we must be able to balance, and the president must be able to balance, the need to make a living for Kenyans. And I say that because the people who have been affected by the bus closure and all are suffering, but also the need to protect Kenyans. And I think the people who have misbehaved more are us politicians. And I think that's why it's terrible, because you cannot legislate bad manners. I think the effect of these rallies must be banned. In fact, they have already been banned, but we have been going against the ban. I think it should be implemented, and leaders should take personal responsibility. And I say that even starting with the former Prime Minister, starting with the Deputy President, starting with the governors, they must be in the front line to say no political gatherings. I think we must be able to pronounce ourselves very well on that. The issue of barriers. I just came from a barrier yesterday from my constituency. I don't think people are even observing the rule of social distance or anything like that. It must go back to a reasonable number, maybe 100 for barriers. The issue of churches must also be revisited, because this wave is not small. And I think every constituency like mine has been hit big time by this, even this third wave. We are losing people, very sudden issues, breathing complications, and they end up dead. So I think the measures must be tightened a bit, and give time to also test the vaccine and how effective it is, and more importantly, order enough vaccine to cover the whole populace, and especially those that are at risk. The teachers, the health workers, us, the politicians. I think it's important so that we also protect those that we represent. Okay.
Honorable Okello, you know, Wangari says that you can't legislate bad manners. These issues, the political gatherings have been banned. There's a regulation in place right now for not more than 100 people in a funeral, but none of that is being adhered to. What should the president do from this point now?
Well, you know, the crafters of those regulations would be the first to, you know, scatter around them and even gather thousands, hundreds of thousands of people. But first things first, the third wave is more vicious, and it is hitting so hard. So what the president needs to focus on is to encourage the country not to drop the guard. It is true that certain protocols that have since been respected and obeyed have to a larger degree reduced the impact of COVID-19 in terms of infections. So the president needs to rally the country behind those same protocols, make sure that we do not, you know, recede on the safeguards. But again, it will be a very delicate balance. We are at a time when the country is hit very hard on matters economy. Yesterday, we staged a demo in Parliament because since last financial year, which is 2019-2020, most constituencies still have their money is not sent to them. You know, much less the year 2020-2021. So these are very critical issues that must also be balanced. When the country is proposed to go on slumber, because basically I remember when this COVID-19 firstly hit, there were proposals for people just to stay at home. And when you stay at home, you know, you do not contribute towards the economy. And subsequently, the country lacks money to run its affairs. So when you hear NGCDF hasn't been sent this year, and few constituencies that have since received 16 million, out of 137 million is a drop in the ocean. most children are still, holed up in homes because they cannot be able to pay school fees. And some of them have heavily relied on bursaries. So it will be very difficult to just say we must adhere to the safeguards, which the best would be to stay at home. But again, at the same time, see how people make monies and run their affairs. Most families, eat from hand to mouth and certain times from finger to tooth. So the president, I know, will be addressing the country today. If he means well for this country, because this third wave, and I think this COVID-19 has a way of mutating. The parameters that were used when it firstly came in must now be stepped up, because it has a way of also changing in its formation and its ways of attacks. So the president, if it is about the public gatherings that my sister, Honorable Wangari, has alluded to, let us as a country agree that there is no election this year, because politicians would always want to gather people around so that they convince them to be persuaded along their way. So we need, therefore, to backtrack, reflect, and retool as a nation and agree that are we for the benefit of this country by wiping out Corona, or are we giving Corona the latitude to wipe us out? So I think the president needs to pronounce himself quite unequivocally that we do not need to have any public gatherings. I attended a funeral in my village a while back, and this was my relative. And the home was fuller than what I have always known. Meaning, therefore, that all the safeguards were taken to the back burner. So the public gatherings would therefore be critical for the president to completely ban them. And remember, the schools are closing. So the children are also coming back. I don't know how many are coming back with Corona. So we may see another fourth wave brought about by the children that we have who are still in school at the moment.
Osman, when you see such headlines, does it create an end to stigma, or does it create panic? Because we've seen some leaders who are not really forthcoming with information. But when you see such headlines, then one of the highest profile political leaders confirming that, yes, it is true, I have COVID-19. Does it end stigma or create panic?
To my opinion, it creates panic. Of course, a lot of people believe the highest people in this land have extra medical cautious and everything. But what I want to assure, tell Kenyans is that first and foremost, health and safety starts with each and every one of us. For us to be safe, even if laws are there, restrictions are there, if we don't adhere to the rules ourselves, especially the youth who have been called to rallies and all these gatherings, I think even if the president speaks and restriction is being done, still you'll find out some gathering in indoors or some personal houses somewhere. So I want to tell Kenyans, kindly take personal responsibility for each and every one, each one of every one of us, so that we at least, because this thing when it was coming up, when it was new, everyone was on mask, everyone was having sanitizers on his pocket and everything. But these days, I think people even shaking hands, hugging each other. So I think it's high time now that even Baba is there, and we wish him well and quick recovery to him. So it creates a panic. So that's what I pursue.
Moshisha, what are your thoughts in terms of what the president should say today? Should he extend these restrictions?
Yes, I think the president should extend the restriction. And when we see the rising numbers, it gives us a reason to worry. We had done very well in the past, a few months ago. That gave us hope as Kenyans that, yes, we're going to overcome this enemy. But when we saw the highest number since January, yesterday, that gave us a reason to worry. And I think in the beginning, as Osman said, we were very careful with the protocols. Every one of us, including politicians, were preaching that we follow the protocols. We create awareness among the public. But nowadays, we have loosened those protocols.
Yeah.
That is a danger. And the coming of the vaccine for the frontline workers can be a reason for some of us to relax those protocols. And that is deceiving.
Yeah.
We need to go back to strengthen the adherence of those protocols for us as a country to be able to overcome the enemy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Honorable Wangari, are you concerned when you see headlines like Denmark has stopped AstraZeneca vaccination over blood clots, and that's the same vaccine that we have here?
Actually, I am a bit concerned on the reporting because they say they have banned the vaccine, but they say investigations have not concluded a direct correlation of the clots with the vaccine. And what that does is that it creates panic. Even the people who wanted to uptake that vaccine now step back, including people in this country. Yeah. So I think the reporting of that message did not come, was not professional. Yeah. Because the reports that have been decimated outside there is that they're still doing investigations, that these clots are related to the vaccine. So I think the reporting was not good. But any vaccine going forward is that any vaccine, including that we give to our children, normally has some side effects. You'll take your child for a vaccine, in the evening they'll have a fever or they have a, general crankiness. So I think every vaccine has a side effect. What the Ministry of Health needs to be clear about is you explain what are these side effects expected to be. What are they going to regenerate? Are they going to cause more harm, or is just a day thing and it's over? I think we need to boost the confidence, especially with this news. The country must boost the confidence, especially for our front health line workers, so that they are able to also administer it and also loop in the issue of community health workers. The challenge of the number of doses also comes in because it's not enough to cover the whole populace. But I think we should prioritize the ones that are in danger of contracting this COVID-19 higher than others. The teachers, like it has been said, yesterday a school in Nyeri had an infection of 23, Bishop Gatimu Gandu girls, 23 children, or rather youngsters. So like Mheshimiwa Okello says, now we are going to the holidays. We don't even know how many will be carriers. And children generally are carriers. They are not going to be really put down by the COVID-19, but they'll bring it to their elderly parents, their elderly grandparents, and it may regenerate to something else. So I think the reporting of this ban in Denmark was not in a good timing and not in a proper way, but the confidence must be boosted by our own Ministry of Health. And put that it has been tested, our Chief of Defense Forces has taken it, our army guys are taking it. That way, then the confidence will be boosted so that more people can be able to uptake. Okay. Yeah.
Honorable Kelly, is this a necessary alarm?
It's very interesting because Kenya just shipped in millions of doses of this vaccine called AstraZeneca. If it was the one from the US or the Sputnik from Russia, and then you hear AstraZeneca has issues, then it doesn't have any effect on us. But this message is coming at a time when we just shipped in, and in fact the second batch just arrived in yesterday.
In the evening.
So the news does not sit very well with us. The director of Danish Health Authority has indicated that they are putting a break for 2 weeks to administer AstraZeneca, and within those 2 weeks they will be carrying out comprehensive analysis of what is happening. Because they did say that it creates some blood clots, coupled with coagulation disorders, what is commonly known as pulmonary embolism. So if there is a particular batch, because I want to believe that there was a particular batch that had a problem, and this is quite common even when countries ship in vehicles, you will hear there is a batch that has a problem and hence subjected to recalls. So if that is what the analysis will be pointing towards, then that will be a relief for the country. But again, in the world of medicine, there are many, many things that would have effects on them. The temperature itself would have a very quite adverse effect. The levels of the levels of handling, just the general handling of a medicine will subject it to even more jeopardy. So they really need to carry out a very detailed analysis of what exactly happened before they put the whole nation into great panic. But let's hope that, again, medicine works very differently in people. The way a white person would react to my Panadol would be very different from the way I react to it. So you have issues of, the blood composition, issues certain times of, race, location, the tropical areas would react differently from what we have here. And let's just not allow the country to go into a panic mode just because a particular batch in Denmark has issues. So let us continue with what we have. And in any event, Kenya has not registered any side effect of this medicine. So whereas the media is very keen to let us know what happens in the world, certain times they should also help us not to create unnecessary panic in the minds of our consumers of this most important vaccine.
Okay. Osman, when you see such headlines, what comes to your mind? Denmark stopping AstraZeneca vaccination over blood clots, and that's the same vaccine that's here.
It's ironical. It just came in, as the Weshimua said. I remember, you all remember a few months ago, the Ministry of Health was very adamant to ask for this vaccine, just because of saying Cambridge has to do some research and all that thing. But you never know. This world is, these days, a lot of ill motives, maybe some business wars here and there. But we have qualified doctors and researchers who can do this job properly. For now, I don't think there's any panic at the end of the day, because even the reality on the ground is, to be honest, I think many Kenyans are not even opting to take this vaccine right now. It could be good, as the doctor said, that it's good to take this thing, especially the elderly and those people with, kind of other diseases. But yeah, I think there's nothing that much panic that it brings. It was not even that serious.
Okay. All right. Mushisho, I had this conversation with someone and they told me that they equated this to a vehicle. They asked me that just because you've seen a vehicle brand have an accident, does it mean that vehicle is no longer being bought? So what comes to your mind when you see that this sort of headline?
Honestly, two things. One is that we appreciate the fact that any side effect has not been reported in our country. We thank God. We pray that there are no side effects as reported from Denmark. But again, information coming from Denmark has not been precisely been connected or verified that is from the vaccine. So we are yet to know the whole truth. Let's give them time, the 2 weeks that they have gone for break, and do more verification on the side effect. But honestly, these are the news that I would really like to come at a point when a sigh of relief is coming to our country. But in my own opinion, this should not give reason for Kenyans to get worried and fearful, or even abstain from taking the doses. We have no reason to doubt the vaccine.
Okay. All right. I want us to shift gears here. Honorable Wangari, on that Daily Nation page 5, and this is something that has been talked about before, DP Ruto on one side says that the police are hounding, they're being impartial. But Tiangi on the other side says that the judiciary is failing them, because every single time they bring in even a politician 6 or 7 times, they still just release them. who is fooling who here?
I think,
Because
Trevor,
they're all in the executive, they read from the different scripts.
they are reading from different scripts depending on where one is sitting. And I think that is the tragedy of our politics.
Yeah.
Sometimes we would celebrate violence when it's not us. You know, when it's meted against your opponent, you're happy. When it's meted against you, you are not happy. And I think that is the hypocrisy that we should stop. We should ban and we should be against violence of all forms. And I think the recent by-elections were not a good test, were not a good litmus test. I think people are fighting the whole day. I mean, it was just tear gas the whole day. Yeah. And it was one day that was just filled with sins that we do not want to see. Sins that we do not want our children to see. You know, politicians with the police, we are also not doing our part. We are intimidating the police. The police are trying to do their job. There's also someone else trying to use them, you know, at the same time to deal with political disagreements and political sides. So I think we must agree from where we are that we do not want violence in elections. And that applies across board. It does not matter to who. If we agree that, then the police will be able to do also their job. And I think the police also and Matiang'i must also be very careful not to use the police for any political cause. If you have issues with someone, if it's a criminal issue, let it take the course that it takes. Because even in the judiciary, criminal issues are usually fast-tracked than civil matters. Yeah. So I think we just must agree from where we sit, whether you're in the executive, whether you're in the police, whether you're in the political arena, we do not agree to support or condone violence of any kind. Yeah. And I say that because we are headed to election next year. Some of us who are women candidates, we're even more worried from the things we see. We are not able to run as these guys can. We are not able to throw back canisters. So the violence against women in this country, and I say that because if you look at the election last time, there was more violence against women who are candidates and who are being intimidated not to run or to seek election. So I hope that this will be dealt clearly, that we ban all form of violence.
Honorable Kelo, does DP Ruto does he have a point? Now that you guys are in the system, you know what's going on there.
Firstly, let me be charitable enough to tell my sister, Honorable Wangari, that we are more than willing to offer tutorials
on how to deal with tear gas.
Tear gas, running battles in Nairobi, and even to put Nairobi to a standstill for a week.
He's celebrating violence, you see?
No, that's not violence. That is called demonstration and picketing, which is enshrined in law, okay? Article 37. But suffice to say, you know, Deputy President William Ruto sits in the Security Council, the National Security Council, which is a very important organ that looks at the security issues of our country. Amongst those who attend is the Inspector General of Police, Mutiambai, of course, together with the Minister for Interior. So when the DP goes out into a funeral in Nakuru and castigates a person whom they sit together to handle security matters of a country, I don't know how that sits with our security as commoners. I don't attend any security meetings. In any event, I don't attend any Jubilee's government's meetings. But if a person of the stature of the Deputy President would be out there shouting loudest about you know, how IG Mutiambai is handling him and is handling members of the Tangatanga wing of Jubilee Coalition, then you can only imagine what can happen to me. So I think there are better channels where they can voice their concerns, if any, without necessarily putting a friction into the country over that. But again, you know, these are independent officers. When you talk about the National Police Service, and the Constitution has given them that mandate to be very impartial and to be independent in discharge of their duties without paying credence to a particular political class to the detriment of the other. So we hope that they will be able to exercise this. But even if you are wronged by these police bodies or the National Police Service, you can channel any complaint to IPOA, which is an oversight body of the police. And again, now we have the National Police Commission. So just in case there are issues where you think Mutiambai is overstepping his mandate, there are these two organs where you can be able to talk about. But again, you have said the Interior CS, Honorable Fred Matiang'i, has also, lambasted our courts. As independent as we would want our courts to be, just like what the Supreme Court did in the year 2017, when they annulled our presidential election, that degree of independence is what we would want to see, so that justice is dispensed without any technical considerations or looking at the status of any individual. But again, for Honorable Fred Matiang'i should also be told that once you lose a case at the magistrate court, there are appellate channels that you can exhaust. You can go to the High Court. If High Court does not rule in your favor, or you think that your case was mishandled, you go to the Court of Appeal and ultimately to the Supreme Court. So this idea of Jubilee adherents and Jubilee sympathizers plus their workers going public to castigate independent organs is uncalled for. Because again, that removes the confidence of our people from those institutions. If I have a matter between me and you that we think is not adequately resolved, the only channel that we can follow is to go to a court of law. But when a man sitting at high echelons of government, such as Honorable Fred Matiang'i, coming out to castigate the same court, I will not go there. And that hence breeds issues of people taking the law into their hands. Because they say, I'm not going to get justice in court, let us finish. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth.
All right. Osman, doesn't this create some level of mistrust? And you can hear what Honorable Kelly is saying, but we've also had their side complain at some point that the police were overbearing. Is the shoe simply on the other foot now?
I think it's something normal that every electoral season we hear these things. We remember late in Kayseri, people were complaining a lot. I was in Jubilee Youth Link. And those days when you want to go to Islando and do these things, they used to tell us that, "Nyinyi watu wa serikali, nyinyi watu wa serikali." So this time around, I think it's a shift, and it is, it's something normal. But one thing, first of all, I want to condemn is this tension and this, small ward in Nakuru and some by-elections in Kabilshai and others. The scenarios that we saw, it's not a good sign. It is not totally a good sign, to entertain such things. And I think also independence of our institutions should be there. If there's any kind of interference with any person's personal activities, either political or businesses, I think there's another level of government or institutions that every person is looking at their reputation and integrity, and I think it's not something that is so unusual. It is usual things. Every person one time will claim. As you said, the issue now is on the other side. The only thing I'm saying is let's just calm down our tension, and because any leader, whatever you speak, this, verbal diarrhea, people talking anything of anything, I think when you're a leader, just weigh your words, because you have, good people who are listening to you, and also you have your good fans and supporters who, whatever you say, take it personally. You know Kenya, how things are. So whatever you say, kindly take it on a way that how can it affect you. As they say, if your children are watching you, and if people who care about you watching you, sometimes when you see some politicians who are speaking so loud, and whenever they speak is something so, how can I put it, like not a kind of leadership criteria.
Moshisho, what does this make? What do you make of this entire situation? The standoff between the executive, legislature, and now there's police also being dragged into it.
Trevor, I think the whole of this conversation is coming after the by-elections that we have just witnessed a few weeks ago. And in my opinion, the manner in which police and politicians carried themselves was not really good for the peace and tranquility of this nation. The police are there to protect the people of Kenya, including politicians. And for police to mishandle politicians for no reason is uncalled for. And for politicians to walk in and slap government officials that are conducting elections is uncalled for. And as a country, we are having a tendency of addressing our issues at barazas. You are not pleased with a certain arm of government, you go tell Kenyans in a baraza.
Yeah.
Why don't we follow the law? There are procedures. More so, people who are working in the same government.
Yeah.
I think it is easier for the deputy president to sit down with the minister in charge of security and be able to iron out a few things instead of talking it at barazas,
yeah.
because we will be igniting other crimes, wars, enmity between the people, the politicians, and the security forces.
Yeah.
So I think we need to change. We need to use the channels allowed by law to address such things.
All right. I have to take a quick break on Daybreak. When we come back now, we delve into the issue of the BBI very briefly as we wind up on this conversation. This public participation is ongoing in Parliament today as well. And also, Honorable Kelo will tell us about that standoff they had over CDF in Parliament. They're also protesting. We'll see you in a bit.